A few years ago, I was at a yard sale for a church here in town. A church put together a yard sale that I attended, and I bought a box full of stuff for $1. I thought inside it were quilt pieces, but instead, inside were pieces of fabric that were partially put together. And I took them all out and I washed them and I ironed them, and they have been in my workroom for a few years. And every time I would be looking for something else for another project, I would run across these and think, oh, I just love that. One day I'm going to put that together. Well, you get busy and it's hard to find one day. And so this morning, the thought occurred to me, what if I would spend 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes each day, and work on this? How long will it take me to put it together? So if I make a video of the 10 minutes that I work on this, I'll be able to track myself. Now, I will admit it's partially, some of the pieces are together. I think this is the largest one, and I think this is 4 blocks. Actually, no, here's another one that's even bigger. So who knows? I might be able to get 2 quilts out of this. I'm not sure. I need to lay it down and measure it. But this is what the blocks look like. They are very imperfect. See, maybe a child was working on this. I don't know. They're not cut straight. They're not even necessarily sewn straight. They are different sizes. Here's one that's larger than this one. And that has been part of my dilemma. Like, well, what do I do? Do I make them all the same size, like cut this down so that it's the same size as this? As I would look at it and ponder it, I wouldn't know what to do. So I decided that I'm going to work on this 10 minutes each day. Now, if you're new here, I'm Rachel Going, and I believe that creativity is healing. And I also believe that there are so many ways to be creative. And I don't usually just do one thing to be creative. I enjoy learning new things, and this is one thing that I'm challenging myself with, is 10 minutes of sewing on this quilt. I'm going to get this quilt put together. It's vintage fabric. It's mismatched. It's imperfect. And I do not care, because I love all the imperfection. Because when it's all put together, I think it's going to be beautiful. So here we go. I decided that I'm just going to start sewing squares together, and I'm going to see what happens, and I'll figure it out as I go, because if I don't ever get started, this probably will never get done. Now, what I should do, honestly, this is my very first stitch on this quilt, and I'm so excited. Oh dear, this is all stitched by hand. Wow, that's a lot of sewing. I'm not going to stitch by hand, but I do, well, if I'm working on it in the car, like if I'm riding somewhere and I need 10 minutes, then I'll stitch it by hand. So it'll be hand stitched and sewn. There we go. I just made that decision, because you know what? I can decide, and I can be happy with my decision. Don't I sound a little bit feisty today? I think I do. So I need to make this stitch just about the width of the guide on my presser foot. And it would help if I would turn my machine on, wouldn't it? So, yeah, you just get to decide how you want it to be. And however it turns out is however it turns out. I am so proud. Okay, I'm just going to keep going. My 10 minutes aren't up. I'm going to take this piece, and I do want to kind of try to decide, I don't know, does it matter how they look compared to each other? Probably not. Let's just keep going. Don't overthink this. Don't overthink this. So I want to tell you something else that I decided. You know, we can just get stuck in overwhelm or overthinking. I know I do. I get stuck in being a perfectionist, like with this. I kept waiting for someday to do this. And I'm just going to get started. I decided I'm just going to get started. And if I don't do it now, when will I do it? I'm not sure if these are the same size. These look like they're about the same width. They are about the same width. So let's talk about deciding. Just deciding. You know, we get to choose. We get to decide. I like to say we can create our story and change our life. I can create my story and change my life. So there's a project that I've really been dreading that I need to accomplish. And I have been dreading it because I didn't see how it was possible. I didn't see how we had time for it. I didn't see how I could work it in around our clients' needs. It felt impossible. It felt like, and it feels like, it needs a miracle. But I see miracles everywhere I go. And so I was overthinking this situation. I was probably creating a mountain out of a molehill, though I don't really think I was. And I remembered what I tell myself. I get to decide. And I thought, yeah, I get to decide how I think about this. I get to decide what attitude I have about this. I get to decide what I say about this. So I just decided that I'm excited about the impossibility of it. I decided that I'm excited to see how it all works out. And so I sat down, I planned every detail, how it needed to be, how it needs to happen. And I'm excited to see the miracle, because it will take a miracle to accomplish this project that's a challenge for me and my husband. So I'm not there yet. I haven't started yet. But I have decided to change the way I talk about it. And what I'm saying is that I get to choose. I get to decide. I get to write the story and change our life and see how it all works out. Now, I don't know if I've actually sewn for 10 minutes or if I've spent all my time blah, 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 blah. But what I do know is that I've sewn together 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks that some precious soul years and years and years ago had already stitched together by hand. Now, I know that quilters come in many forms and fashions. I know that there are certain things that drive some quilters crazy that don't bother other quilters a bit. And I just decided that I'm not going to let anything bother me. I'm going to get this sewn together. Now, creativity is healing. In that healing, guess what's also going to be there? The sense of accomplishment. The sense of something that I've put off for some day is now turned into today. I did not time myself since I'm recording on my phone, actually. I have no idea how long I've been working on this. But I guess I'll find out when I look. But you know what? This is not AI. This is Rachel. Raw, real, obviously unedited. Because I haven't really figured all that out yet. But that's another thing I just decided. I wasn't going to overthink it. I was just going to get busy and get it done. And quit sitting around and waiting for someday. Because now it's today. You guys, my favorite kind of quilts, my favorite kind of quilts are quilts that are made from vintage fabric, mismatched fabric, that it's obvious someone in the past just used scraps that were left from sewing projects that were just dropped into a basket to be used for later. Oh my goodness, y'all, look. I'm beside myself. I may be done with this sooner than I think. Because you know what? Action builds momentum, doesn't it? You get started and it's like, I don't want to stop. Let me see here because there are some larger pieces already sewn together. This looks like 2 strips. I wonder. And this is 3 strips sewn together. So I need to see, when they were working on it, they just didn't work really hard to match up lines and stuff. And that's okay. That's absolutely okay. All right, so this is about, if you hold something to your nose and stretch your arm out, that's about 1 yard right there. So I've got about 1.5 yards sewn together. You guys, I could get really lost in the fact that these aren't perfect, because it's my nature to try to make every line straight, and it's my nature to want everything coordinated, and it's my nature to want it all figured out before I even begin. But I have learned that there's so much power in letting go of those things when it's not necessary. And it's not necessary right now. There's going to be so much beauty in this fun kaleidoscope of color. When I need to absolutely be perfect, when I need absolutely every line to match up, it does. But it doesn't need to on this. So, are there any projects that you are putting off that if you just worked on 10 minutes each day, just 10 minutes, maybe you could do it while you're drinking your coffee. Maybe you could do it while you're talking to someone on the phone. Put it on speakerphone and work on it then. Just 10 minutes each day. I have done that with other projects. Specifically piano practice. I felt like I did not have time for piano practice, but I knew how important it was to me. And so I just decided I would see what I could accomplish in 10 minutes each day. And I'm really excited with what I've accomplished. Another thing, I felt like I was too busy to read books the way I wanted to. And so I just decided I was going to read 10 pages in an actual book each day. And what happens is you usually get engrossed in what you're reading and then you keep going. And before you know it, you've read the whole book. So I have a whole... I need to stop and measure this because what I want to do is see if I can make this about queen bed size. So I need to lay this out and figure out if when this is all sewn together, I have enough pieces to make it that size. Because what I don't have is more fabric that would even begin to coordinate with this. In that box, look, someone was just using pieces this color. Isn't that pretty? That would make some neat pillows. Maybe I'll just make pillow covers out of those because the other colors are so bright and cheerful. I'm not sure how this will blend in, but we'll see. All right, I'll show you the next time that I spend 10 minutes on it.